Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special video. This time, we are bringing back the Rule 34 theme, but we're combining it with another hit video that I released a few years ago that is kind of the most viewed on my channel, so I'm kind of combining my two most popular videos at the moment, like view-wise, and well, you have here the Rule 34 tier list, and today I am being joined by SirFrogFinest.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it is SirFrogFinest, the Rule 34 champion, two-time undisputed champion. Yeah, If you want to see me dominate the Rule 34 competition scene, we got a couple of videos out on that already. Yeah. Absolutely, check them out.
Yes, absolutely. Did you want to do any self-promotion or?
I got a Twitter account. Please follow me there. That's the only place where I'm like decently active nowadays.
Let's go ahead and introduce everyone to each of the different tiers, the categories that we have contributed for these characters. We're going to start at the bottom actually with Rule 34 Classics.
Yeah. So the idea, I guess, with that like Rule 34 Classics category that we sort of come up with, it's mostly just characters that have, like, regardless of sort of their presence and kind of the numbers that they have on Rule 34, they kind of contributed to the, the horny cultural zeitgeist before even Rule 34 was like a thing. So they were kind of bringing that energy into the culture even before Rule 34 was prominent.
Now they're in the Rule 34 retirement home. They're not so much.
They can't drive anymore.
They're not so much relevant anymore, but they had their heyday back in the day, and they should be appreciated and honored.
Absolutely, that idea just kind of like brings to mind, like them all in like a retirement bus, like going to like a Chili's for lunch after church or something.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Fantastic. After that we have the Gatekeeper tier. That's just Goku. Goku is our Gatekeeper. If you have questions about that, I recommend watching the Rule 34 Top 100 video, and that should answer most of your questions.
In addition, if you happen to feel like we missed anyone, or if a certain character that you love didn't make the cut, take this up with Goku.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. Goku basically decides who gets in and who doesn't. He's the bouncer of this tier list.
Yep. And next we got the supporting cast here. So this is more of a category for characters who, like, they're by and large their presence on Rule 34 pertains mostly as like supporting characters. Mm-hmm. They're characters that are like mostly in the artwork because of another character that's probably the more prominent central figure.
But they do pull in numbers, so
yeah, for sure.
They are absolutely worth being on the list, even though they might not necessarily be iconic per se. They've qualified just by sheer popularity.
Of course.
On top of that, we have the How category.
Yeah, and that's a fun one. It's characters whose popularity is just like insane, like way more popular than you would actually expect just for like who they are.
Yeah, how did this happen? It's pretty much
exactly
what everyone, what the general consensus is going to think. You wouldn't necessarily equate them to their popularity level, and that is going to be a fun tier. Then we got the cult following tier.
The cult following tier, by and large, it's pretty similar to supporting cast, but realistically, it's just these are Rule 34 characters whose placement in like the top 100 or their placement in Rule 34 is by and large because of them just having a very fanatic, passionate fan base that's kind of uplifted them so much to this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're not necessarily supporting cast members. They can be the main character in a series too.
Absolutely.
Historically relevant is the next one up, and this is just anyone that's kind of had like a moment in internet history.
Absolutely. That one's really just about like legacy by and large. They had a moment where effectively they were like the main character on the internet for a while, and their presence on Rule 34 really reflects that.
Absolutely. Whereas opposed to the Rising Stars, the next category, that is more so because these are characters that are more recently on the come up, and they might eventually get to the historically relevant category, but at this point it's more so just we've noticed their rapid recent increase.
Yeah, they're not quite there to the point where they really have like a legacy or have made their mark, but they're still kind of like they're just early on in their Rule 34 career, so to speak.
If you want to talk about relevancy, these are the most relevant characters of the bunch. And then we have sex icons, which is essentially a character designed with the developers in mind to make the Rule 34 list.
Yeah, they were obviously made with like sex appeal in mind. And it's kind of just inescapable to like their identity. So yeah, that's what that category sort of represents.
And then on top of that, we have Trailblazers, which is like Rising Stars, except even more of a rapid increase. And we just wanted to kind of emphasize just how insanely quick their popularity is growing.
Very much so. That's definitely a step above like Rising Stars in that way, because it's kind of going to be reserved for characters that are even more recent, but even still making just very unprecedented waves in the space.
And then we have one of my favorite categories, meme incidents, which is just any character that has exploded on the internet because of some goofy ass shit.
That one's going to be awesome, for sure.
Absolutely. If you've spent enough time on the internet and you're in some of the same circles that we're in, you have to be familiar with why these characters have made their mark.
Exactly. And then for the last tier we have the High Council here, the Council tier.
All hail the Council.
These are just gonna be the elites. Yeah, the highly coveted position. These are basically the elites of Rule 34. Their influence is just widespread, undeniable. A person who has a seat on the council here, it's going to be just impossible to say otherwise. It's going to be impossible to say why they don't deserve it.
If there is a Rule 34 Hall of Fame, the council has statues of them outside of the building.
All right, I guess with that introduction out of the way here, I guess we're just going to go hop into it.
Absolutely, and we're going to start with our first one on the list, 2B. 2B is in the sex icon category.
Absolutely well-deserved. Just like that meme that circulated for a while about her ass alone having more polygons than Ocarina of Time. I don't even care if that's not true. If that was completely fabricated, just like that fact that was a meme alone kind of illustrates that it's just like, yeah, this lady packs way too much ass. Mm-hmm. Definitely a sex icon.
Yeah, she was just designed with that in mind. For supporting cast, we've got Amy Rose.
Yeah, so she's in the top 10, if I remember correctly. I don't know if that's still the case at this exact moment, but yeah. But by and large, that's one of those things where, like, Amy, for a lot of that artwork, is not, like, the only character in it. It's usually, like, her and Sonic, or her and, like, Rouge, or some of the other characters already in the
maybe
series.
Shadow, or someone like that. Yeah. But in this case, yeah, Amy, like, by sheer numbers alone, she has to be on the list. If you're a top 10 character at any point, you're on the tier list for sure. And yeah, with all of the popularity of the Sonic characters, Amy might not. She might be like one of the first few characters that you think of, but chances are she's probably not going to be the first.
Yeah, definitely her name is not as like synonymous with Rule 34 as some of her counterparts in the series.
And then we've got our first meme incident with Anka.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we brought this up in the what is it, the top 100 Rule 34 characters video. You could blame a lot of things on Zone Tunes, and Anka's presence on this list is one of them.
I'm just thinking about how many times that I've gotten jump scared from seeing the Anka clips. All over YouTube. I have the
literal like song in that video like memorized.
Yeah, it's absolutely stuck in my head, and I would play it right now, but it would also get copyright claims, so I'm gonna hold off on that. I actually had that as like a Twitch soundbite that people could play, and I had to remove it because my Twitch archives were getting copyright claim from that sound.
Oh, awesome.
And now,
all right,
we have our first member of the council. All hail the council, Astolfo.
Yeah.
I'm actually.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce his name? I don't want to.
I think you had it right. I mean, you're
Astolfo?
not going to pronounce it any better than me. I think Astolfo is the.
Astolfo, probably.
Yeah, Astolfo, I think, is how it's pronounced here. But yeah, this is just like, he is the archetype, the prototype for what a femboy is.
He is femboy perfection.
Yeah. No, it was kind of unquestionable between us both that he deserves a spot on the council.
Absolutely, and he kind of he ascended from being a meme incident because the femboy archetype also rose with him.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like by and large, whenever he started gaining popularity, femboys in general did. So he's kind of one of those characters that helped sort of define like a niche in the space.
Any femboy that's making it on OnlyFans right now has Astolfo to thank.
They owe it to him, for sure.
Next on the list is Bayonetta, and Bayonetta is, once again, a sex icon.
Yeah, we probably don't have to explain that. Her body, like, her entire, like, bodysuit thing is just, like, her hair, and she gets naked in combat. Like, yeah, she's a sex icon.
She was the first character that I was genuinely surprised was in Smash Brothers. Even though some people were surprised Solid Snake got in there, I didn't really see it too out of place. But Bayonetta, like, yeah.
Like, everyone was saying she was too sexy for Smash. Like, it was
absolutely
incredibly shocking that they went through with it.
Yeah. No complaints from me, though. Next up on the list is Betty Boop, who is a Rule 34 classic. Might be the Rule 34 classic.
Yeah, I'm glad we kind of got to her really early on for that reason, because I do think she kind of, like, is very emblematic of what Rule 34 Classics is. She was bringing that horny energy, that horny animated energy into
long
the culture.
before the internet existed.
Yeah, exactly. It's well deserved. We couldn't not have her on this list.
Absolutely. Next up on the list is Bowser, who is going to be the first of our How category.
Yeah. He's in the top 50. Like, that's insane to me. And it's not even Bowsette. Like, Bowsette does not figure into his own popularity, his own numbers. This is all Bowser.
All Bowser, man. Yeah. I don't know. We don't know how he got so much popularity. And it's
Why do so many people want to fuck him?
It's not like your typical furry design. Like, this is completely different.
He's a turtle.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he doesn't have a lot of human features, so it's very, very different compared to other ones. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense to some of you guys in the comments, some of you watching. So, but to us, How is the only place that he belonged.
That said, Bowsette is a lot more understandable, as she's another meme incident.
Yeah, Bowsette lit the internet by storm whenever she hit the scene. So yeah, Bowsette is absolutely a classic meme incident.
I still am frustrated how she got the name Bowsette because it makes zero sense to me. Because Peachette was Peach plus Toadette, and there's no Toadette design whatsoever in Bowsette. It's Peach plus Bowser, and somehow the Et just got
I guess Princess
attached.
Bowser doesn't have as good of a ring or something like that. I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that was the day that the world realized the internet can make anything horny for no reason.
Even like what was literally just like a meme comic about Bowser turning into a human girl.
Yeah, this takes Rule 63 to a whole nother level.
Definitely.
Next up, we have Chun-Li, who is under the historically relevant category.
Yeah, Chun-Li's been around for freaking ever and has always had just a really strong presence on Rule 34. So there's really no other place for her. She's just historically relevant. She's even to this day still popping up with every new iteration of Street Fighter.
She doesn't quite fit into the sex icon category, even though she has some strong-ass thighs. It's not... It wasn't quite designed that way. It was just like an interesting character design that caught fire.
Yeah, she has definitely like sexy attributes, but that's not like her identity. Her being sexy is not really like a central part to her design or something. She just has like sexy attributes.
Absolutely. And then next up, we have Gardevoir, who falls under the cult following category.
Yeah, it felt like Gardevoir was very like... It just like, she represents Pokemon, the entire Pokemon fan base is just ravenous horniness.
Yes, Gardevoir is the prime example of just anyone being horny over a Pokemon, and you can include so many other characters. Gardevoir kind of is the representation of the Pokemon fandom and how intense they've gotten.
Yeah, just even thinking back to like anytime you hear like a hypothetical that somehow like pertains to like would you fuck a Pokemon or something like that, it always comes around to just Gardevoir. Because Gardevoir is like probably the most human Pokemon or one of the most human Pokemons, and just by and large, like yeah, she has the most sex appeal probably as a result. Or maybe that's a very contentious thing for me to say because she's not the only Pokemon we're going to see in this video.
But you could say that she is the most impactful.
Yes, definitely.
Next up on the list is Girlfriend from Friday Night Funkin', who is a quintessential rising star.
Yeah. I don't think she ended up making like the top 100, but she's like up there for sure.
She's in the top 100 now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and Friday Night Funkin' has not been around for a very long time, so Girlfriend making in the top 100, yeah, rising star is a very fitting place for her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One of the few indie characters represented.
Yeah, and next we got Harley Quinn. And Harley Quinn is definitely going to be a Rule 34 classic. In fact, I think her character comes from like Batman the Animated Series, I believe, which started just before Rule 34 was really a website and I guess really a concept on the internet. So having her as kind of a classic is very, very appropriate. And she's never really like lost her stride either. She still gets fan art of her made constantly, but it feels kind of appropriate to say that she was putting horny energy out there before Rule 34 was even a thing.
Yeah, you could make the argument that she is historically relevant, but we wanted to just kind of like throw respect for her origins, that she really is a classic character. Then we've got Hinata, who also is under the supporting cast.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of Naruto in her fan art, so it feels kind of appropriate to have her there as just supporting cast.
Yeah, she's not quite the reason why Naruto fans make so much horny art of her, but at the same time, like, she is like one of the quintessential like top characters in terms of popularity, because the Naruto fandom is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we got another Rule 34 classic here, Jessica Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah, instantly comes to mind just like horny energy before the internet was really a thing. Yeah, Jessica Rabbit belongs here.
Perhaps the first true cartoon that was designed and drawn to be horny. And
yeah, drawn with just like porn in mind.
Jessica Rabbit was like the first. She was the first cartoon character that made people realize, oh, I could be attracted to tunes.
And now we got Judy Hopps here. And Judy Hopps we put here as a rising star. Very fitting for her. There's a really good video out there basically showing how Judy Hopps has been like just eclipsing people on E621, I believe, which is not Rule 34 per se, but they're basically like sibling sites. So for all intents and purposes, Judy Hopps has been just a rising star kind of ever since Zootopia came out. We feel like this is a very fitting spot for her.
But even so, like it's been about 10 years since Zootopia came out, and she still like has a very relevant surge in popularity, like very recently too.
Yeah, it's really not going away. That's why this is kind of just appropriate for her.
If anything, it's increasing. And then we've got Crystal from Star Fox, who is under the sex icons category.
Yeah, Star Fox Adventures, I think, was her first game that she was in, and she was literally like in a Princess Leia-esque like tribal bikini for like the entire game.
They just designed her to be incredibly attractive, stereotypically attractive, in fact.
Yeah, very much so. One of the like classic furry characters. So yeah, she could go in a lot of different places here, but we think sex icon's probably the most apt for her.
And then we've got Laura Croft, who we're also throwing into the sex icon category, admittedly for different reasons than the other characters.
Them old triangle titties back in the old days on the original PlayStation. Yeah, well deserved spot there, even though she doesn't like maintain like that same appearance in her like more current games. Still, she kind of belongs as a sex icon. That's sort of what she was founded on.
And you're gonna see that there's essentially like two types of sex icons. There's the ones that are more like 2B or Bayonetta, and then there's the ones that are more like Laura Croft.
For sure.
Where it's not so much that they're stereotypically attractive, but they just bring about a whole lot of attractive energy within them. That was provided in mine. Not necessarily like Chun-Li.
Her design was made with sexiness, you know, as a central part of it. Yeah,
and speaking of sex icons, Link has become a sex icon. He wasn't that from the start. However, I mean, ever since Breath of the Wild, he's been one of the top femboys.
Yeah, they made him look like what is it? They made him look like he belonged in like a brothel or something like that. They turned him into a flat-out femboy, and that it was crazy. Yeah, modern day sex icon for sure.
It was very interesting to see Nintendo embracing the fanboy. Femboy. Next up, we have Lucario. And Lucario is another one in the how category. And it's not so much that he's a furry. We get it. Furries are very popular. However, what?
He's like number 2.
Number 2 or number 3. Like, if you're top 3, you're expecting it to be like just
it should
like,
be obvious.
Just like
it should
typically attractive human women, maybe some furries that, but you don't necessarily think Lucario. You would think Gardevoir would be in that place instead of Lucario.
Yeah, whenever you think of someone in the top 3 of like the Rule 34 like scene in terms of like presence numbers, it should instantly be obvious why they're there. Lucario is not one of those characters.
How is Lucario the most popular Pokemon? It doesn't make any sense, but it happens.
Utterly baffling.
Then we've got another Rule 34 classic in Marge Simpson.
Yeah.
I don't think she needs a ton of explanation. She's kind of been an iconic character, and her sex appeal was kind of almost thrust upon her, both by creators of the show and Simpsons fans.
Yeah. I don't think she was always kind of like made like she was. I don't think she was always portrayed with the idea of being like, you know, sexy in mind, but she's always had like a good like mommy like hourglass figure sort of deal going on. So it's very fitting for her to have a place as a Rule 34 classic.
And then, under historically relevant, we also have Midna from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Surprisingly, more often than not, in her imp form as opposed to her human form.
Yeah, very much so. Like, I don't even think short stacks were very much so like a concept before Midna. She kind of pioneered that.
Yeah.
So historically relevant's a very like good place for her.
Midna has contributed a very popular character archetype that has really changed the dynamics of sex appeal in the in like the furry community and beyond.
Unlocked a whole lot of imagination in people, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And then we have Morgan from Darkstalkers, who's also a sex icon.
Yeah. I mean, we don't really have to explain that too much. She's a succubus in her series. She's a sex icon.
It just makes me wonder how much her figures are going for on eBay. Like, what price? What price is it to get a
There's a steady
Morgan
market
figure?
for that, that's for sure.
I've seen them circulated around here and there, and yet I don't know that many people that play the Darkstalkers games.
I don't know if there's many people that own her figures that actually know what game she's from. Like, oh, she's from a video game? That's crazy.
Then we've got Naruto, who we're going to throw into cult following, just because he kind of is the peak essential of how the Naruto fandom has gone insane and made so much art.
So much. Yeah, it felt very fitting to have Naruto under the cult following category for sure.
He is the main character. I don't know if he's the source, but he is the perfect representation for his series. Although I guess you could make an argument that Sasuke is the representation. It depends which type you're going for, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on your type, honestly. Geez, the next one here.
Yeah. So
all right, let's get into it.
Rainbow Dash is very famous, and it's not because of how fast she is. It's just because of a jar. The jar. The jar. If you've seen the jar memes circulating around, that pretty much explains everything, and I don't think we need to go into details.
Yep.
That you can Google it.
Iconic meme incident.
Yeah, still people talking about it to this day.
Look it up on your school's Chromebook.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
Yeah, for the record, just don't do that, please. Spare yourself.
For my sake, so I don't get in trouble. Do not do that. Historically relevant, we have Raven from Teen Titans.
Yeah. Another case of Zone Tunes.
Zone Tunes really amplified her popularity. But, I mean, she also does perfectly represent the goth archetype. Everyone wants a hot goth GF. Well, guess what? There she is. Right there.
Yep. Yep. She's one of those characters that just represents that entire genre.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just like, if you had a type and you're into goth chicks, it might have been because you watched Teen Titans. Alright, and then we have Renamon, who we're also going to throw under cult following. And this, to me, seems less about the Digimon community and more just about the furry community in general.
Yeah. I mean, less Digimon than anything, because Renamon is the only one representing Digimon in that space, and
Renamon is like a top 10 character, and yet Renamon is like there's no other Digimon character that gets representation.
Not even close, too. I would like the gap between her and probably the second most popular Digimon has to be just like ginormous, and we have the furry community to sort of thank for this. Yeah,
we're talking like at least a 10,000 difference, if not 20,000 difference.
Yeah, it's gargantuan for sure.
And then we have another member of the council. Praise be the council. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Take your throne, King. Yeah, he belongs in the council for sure. He's just been an icon in the scene forever.
Sonic porn has been so iconic that Sega has named their latest game after it.
Yeah, for more information on that, look up Sonic X Shadow.
Sonic X Shadow Generations. Just make sure you type in Generations after that. But actually, yeah, I saw circulating on Twitter that when you type in Sonic X Shadow Generations is the first thing to come up. So you might actually have to scroll a little bit before you get to the gay porn.
They're gonna make you work for it this time.
Absolutely. And put some respect on that man's name, because when you think Rule 34, you do tend to think either like My Little Pony or Pokemon or Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's really because of the man himself, Sonic, that he gets there.
Yeah, there's very few names on this list that deserve that spot more than Sonic the Hedgehog.
Absolutely. And we've got another How in Toriel from Undertale.
It's just like, I don't know, I hear people say, like, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense that she's in the top 100. She's like a total MILF. And it's just like, how? She's like a goat.
Where are the other Undertale characters? They're nowhere to be seen. Like, when I played Undertale, I was like, okay, if there's an archetype that I thought was really attractive, it would have been Undyne.
Yeah, the fish girl, for sure.
Yeah. And if you want to say, like, meme incident potential, you could throw Sans in there, and that would make more sense.
But no, like, Toriel's the only one on that
Toriel.
list.
And don't get me wrong,
all characters.
I love support for hot bombs. Toriel just doesn't make sense as one of them.
For sure.
Somehow the only Undertale representation in Rule 34. Why her? I don't know.
Who knows?
Someone just...
That's why she's here.
They just love the goat mom. I don't know what else to say.
That's why she's in the How category.
Vaporeon is our third member of the council. Bless the council. We love the council.
Yep. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Vaporeon is the ultimate meme incident. You want to talk Astolfo as a meme incident? Vaporeon pretty much crashed the internet.
Just speaking the name Vaporeon in like a Discord chat or something like that instantly just changes the energy in the room.
Yeah, it makes
Completely.
you sweat. Nobody can look at Vaporeon the same way after that copy pasta.
Nobody can. Well-deserved place on the council. All hail.
All hail the council. And next up on the list, we are finally getting someone in the Trailblazers category. This is Aether from Genshin Impact. And neither of us play Genshin Impact.
Yeah, we don't have much to say here, but we saw the numbers.
Oh, he is rising, and he's rising fast. So fast that probably the fastest rising character out of anyone.
Yeah, just utterly meteoric. Like, he got into the top 50 like way quicker than I think any other character on this list. It's
Aether's one of the characters that I could see entering the top 10 in a year or two. Maybe not a year.
Sure.
Maybe that's a little. I don't know. Revisit this in a year. See if he's in the top 10.
We'll see.
All right, and then we have our most recent meme incident up next, and that is Charlie from Hasbin Hotel. Hey, the man was thirsty enough to throw $50,000 for a fan animation.
Dude had to like take out a loan for that though. $52,000. My God.
Oh, just an incredible amount of money. Congratulations to the animator that made bank on that.
God bless Verbalace Beatbox, the beatboxer from outer space.
Absolutely. Oh.
You're a real one for that video.
And I do love the memes that have circulated since. It's very, very funny. So much good
we got
stuff.
Cortana up next.
Yes, Cortana belongs in the historically relevant category. J-Man, I hope this satisfies you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was baffling that she wasn't in the top 100. Mm-hmm. Last time we kind of like revisited that, but historically relevant's really kind of a really good place for her because she's kind of always been a sexy AI character ever since the original Halo in like 2001.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so many Halo if you haven't had a crush on Cortana, you didn't play Halo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then next up, we have Elizabeth from BioShock, who is also in the historically relevant category.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones to talk about here. Just because her placement is historically relevant. Literally, there were like innovations made in Blender back in like the early 2010s. Like actual breakthroughs within it that made it as usable and ubiquitous of a resource in the 3D animation world, like to this day. And it was literally just because of her, because people wanted to like jack off to her. It's awesome. She's the big reason why that characters like Tracer in Overwatch basically were able to kind of hit the stage of Rule 34 as soon as they were in like the 3D space. Literally the modeling techniques were just borrowed straight from what people learned whenever they were trying to model out her naked body.
Elizabeth walked so Overwatch could run.
Absolutely. One of my favorite ones on this list.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And then
we got Miku.
We've got Hatsune Miku, and I'm trying to remember.
I think we put her as a classic.
We did, yeah.
She came out in like 2007.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Hatsune Miku is like a pop icon in Japan. She really was like a first of her kind.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, by and large, she represents a lot of like anime characters that have not kind of made it into the Rule 34 space, just because they have a much larger presence, kind of in like other, sibling sites like Pixiv or something. Places where there's probably a lot more Japanese creators uploading their stuff. rather than Rule 34. So it doesn't really kind of feel fitting to kind of label her as a Rule 34 character, but nonetheless, she's still out there putting that energy into the culture. So Rule 34 Classics is kind of like a really fitting spot for her.
You could also say that she was like the first VTuber.
You might. That's an interesting argument to make.
and she was like the technology behind Hatsune Miku helped develop the VTubers that weeaboos love. No.
I mean, they borrow her design like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, from like the actual like design front, for sure.
Absolutely. And then we have another. Where did I put her? Hold up.
She's definitely a sex icon.
Is that where I put her?
Lady Dimiskew. Oh, we put her as historically relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. My mindset behind historically relevant is just like, I don't think that the Resident Evil developers had predicted at all that she was going to blow up in popularity due to.
Yeah,
I don't. I think her design
like,
was interesting, but it wasn't like inherently like in your face.
Yeah, I don't think they were like tapping into like really well-known like fetishes on the internet whenever they were creating it, but it rather like ignited that. Like it kind of brought to the attention how many people just want like a giant like goth lady to step on them.
There's just an incredibly high demand and low supply of 8-foot tall mommies.
Yeah, God needs to get on that. Give us more. But yeah, it's historically relevant felt a little bit more appropriate than just having her as a sex icon, literally because like her, you know, presence in that when the Resident Evil game was like first shown, whenever her character design was first shown, jeez, people were freaking rabid for her.
She was definitely insane. A first of her kind as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we've got Lola Bunny, who again, like, she kind of is the Jessica Rabbit of the 90s.
Yeah, of the late 90s for sure, with Space Jam. That feels like one of those characters where, like, so many people kind of grew up with just a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people to this day who don't even, like, identify as furries have her as, like, the furry exception, you know?
And not just that, like, might have also just been their sexual awakening.
Might be, yeah, that's true, that's true. Lola Bunny definitely deserves a spot on this list. She doesn't have like crazy numbers on the website, but we would be kind of remiss to not include her.
Absolutely. But who does have crazy numbers? Luna from Hell of a Boss, who is also in the Trailblazers category. Again, yeah. we want to emphasize the Trailblazers are like way up there in rapid pace of increase in popularity.
Yeah, it's exceptional. Way more than just like the rising stars per se. Like Luna has been, it's been kind of unprecedented for an indie character to be rising as rapidly as a Rule 34 character.
It's rare to see
insane.
Indie characters even make it into the top 100 or to get as popular recognition as they are. We're seeing more and more of them pop up though, and Luna is definitely the most popular out of all of them, at least when it comes to the numbers.
For sure.
And then we've got Mai Shiranui, who is also under sex icons.
Yeah, not much we really kind of need to explain there. You could.
She actually was too hot for Smash.
Yeah, literally. Sakurai literally said that in a presentation. Smash is a game for good little boys and girls, and she didn't fit.
They threw Bayonetta in there, but they couldn't throw Mai in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Then we have Miruko, who is also a rising star. We had to include at least one My Hero Academia character, and she seemed the most appropriate to put in there.
Yeah, for sure. And even then, especially with her being a more recent character than some of the other ones that also have like really high placements here, she has a really, really large presence, so it felt kind of appropriate to get some My Hero recognition here, and Miruko fits the bill probably most appropriately.
Well, she's a nice, strong, buff, muscular rabbit lady.
Yeah, for sure. She deserves it.
Her design is totally understandable for why she gets so many numbers. I get it.
Definitely.
And then we have Mrs. Incredible. I'm trying to remember where she was.
Mrs. Incredible, Helen Parr, definitely a Rule 34 classic.
Helen Parr, right? Yeah, she's also under the Rule 34 classics, and sometimes you just have to explain it by the timeline. Jessica Rabbit of Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the late 80s.
Yeah, so Jessica Rabbit of the 80s, Lola Bunny of the 90s, Mrs. Incredible of the 2000s.
Yep.
That's just it. Like these iconic, badass women that sparked sexual awakenings among several generations.
Injected so much horny energy into like the animated space. It was just like Rule 34 would not have the energy that it had without these characters.
And the Pixar mom design heavily implemented later down the road because of Mrs. Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
She was really a pioneer in that industry.
Absolutely.
And then we have another rising star and another indie character in Pomni from the Amazing Digital Circus.
Yeah, very recent character. So it is kind of crazy to see her pop off as she has, but very well-deserved spot here. We definitely needed to include her.
Absolutely.
In some spot here.
She doesn't quite have the numbers of the other characters, but she also is like the newest character of the bunch. I don't think I can find any that are more recent than her, so it's kind of understandable that she would only have 3,000 results in like a couple of months.
But even still, that's 3,000 results in a couple of months for a brand new character. So, like, rising star, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
We have to recognize it.
Yes, for sure. And then we have Princess Peach, who is also under cult following.
Yep.
Again, Princess Peach kind of just represents the Mario franchise. Now, we're not going to say that Mario fans are as crazy as we might say for the Sonic the Hedgehog series or for
the Naruto.
Right,
or Pokemon.
Yeah. However, the Princess Peach kind of just represents gamers in general. Like,
she's very much central in terms of like, it's like, oh, like who's like a hot video game woman character. Princess Peach kind of instantly comes to mind for a lot of folks, even folks who aren't kind of like really gamers or something like that. People like Princess Peach has just kind of like that appeal.
For sure.
Cult following kind of felt appropriate just because of gamers in general bringing her to that spot.
Absolutely. And I lost my train of thought. I don't even remember what I was going to say there.
We could always get that tidbit later.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm ready to move on. Then we've got Rouge the Bat, who also is a sex icon. And the only sex icon that you're going to see from the Sonic series on here, I assure you. Her design is just so different. I remember, when I think Rouge the Bat, I think about how they censored her cleavage in one of the cartoons.
Back in the old Sonic X days, because it was just getting that much. Like, it was becoming that too much.
It's a show for kids. We can't show her big, massive honkers.
Yeah, just the fact that in like a kid's series like Sonic the Hedgehog, it's like, yeah, we created a bat lady who has giant tits. Like, yeah, she's a sex icon. That's the most fitting spot for her.
And it's perfect for her character archetype as well, because she uses her sex appeal to get what she wants.
Rouge the Bat would not have it any other way.
Absolutely. And then we have Sakura from, once again, the Naruto series, who also falls under the supporting cast.
Yeah, same reasons for Hinata, basically.
You could pick or choose whoever you want to pair Naruto with. It could be either of them. It doesn't really matter.
You can't go wrong.
Or you could pair Sasuke with either of them, too.
Yeah, exactly. They are kind of like the archetype for supporting cast.
Pretty much. You can just pick and choose, interchange them. It doesn't matter. The Naruto fans will draw it.
It'll work.
Next up, we have Samus, and absolutely a sex icon. One of the very few that Nintendo has made, but Nintendo has made more than I realized after looking at this list as well.
Yeah, taking just sort of a step back here, Nintendo, you're kind of on something.
Just that Zero Suit design, man. They really leaned into it.
They really did. They really did. Ever since, I think, just because the Metroid series itself hasn't been like that crazy popular, especially in terms of like sales and stuff, it felt like ever since Super Smash Bros, like a lot of it put sort of her Zero Suit design kind of front and center for a lot of folks. It felt like that's sort of the moment she became a sex icon.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Shigo from Kim Possible. If anyone's watched her fight,
yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
She's got that fierceness. She's got the same goth energy from Raven. She's just like they chose some very interesting camera angles during her fights with Kim.
Yeah, she's very fitting as a sex icon. I can only see her in that spot.
Once again, many
she was
people
a lot of people.
They've had their sexual awakenings with her.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, a lot of people's like sexual awakenings, a lot of lesbian awakenings from Shigo.
Absolutely, because they were like, "Oh, I want to be Kim right now."
I want her to kick me in the face.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't blame them.
Oh, we got Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is in the how category, and if I need to explain to you why he's in the how category, well, then you don't understand the how category.
Please tell us how, in fact.
We would love to know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe justifying, like, well, he's got other attractive women in his universe and in his TV shows and movies and all that, but like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you got like Black Cat, you got like Gwen Stacy. It makes like there's definitely like a good like set of other characters out there who could like work with him in a lot of that artwork, but it's still just like, good grief, he has so much art.
Is it just the general popularity of the Spider-Man franchise in general? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough to really pinpoint why exactly he is where he is in the top 100, why he just has so much art, and I feel like that's the best reason for why he's in that how
Spider-Man
category.
is the perfect representation of the how category.
Oh, we got a new member of the council here. We got Tifa.
Yes. Bless the council. Praise the council. We love the council.
Yeah, current undisputed champion right now. Still probably like a couple thousand over whoever's in second place behind her. Tifa.
It was kind of tempting to make Tifa in her own tier and just have her be the queen of Rule 34, because that's what she is right now. She's the number one, undisputed champion of Rule 34.
She's the head of the table right now.
It's not even close. Like, if the council decides voting, Tifa has veto power.
Oh god, she's like the president. She has like executive authority. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. they all get together and make decisions, and they all have their own important impact. Don't get me wrong, but Tifa is something else.
Yeah, she's a different breed.
Absolutely. It will be a very long time, I think, before someone passes her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it'll probably happen in our lifetimes.
It might. It's questionable, but it might.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. In 2060, somebody will pass Tifa.
Back whenever we're all like old and gray.
When we're in the retirement homes, we'll witness the historic event.
Whenever we're all on that retirement bus heading towards the freaking Chili's with Betty Boop and Jessica Rabbit.
And then Tracer basically is representing the entire Overwatch franchise. She is under historic
Let's not
development.
say that just yet.
Basically.
Yeah. In a big way, she is. So it feels appropriate to kind of include her in historically relevant.
I think she represents the Mercies and the Divas of the franchise.
The Maze.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. She definitely, I think, represents Overwatch in that sense. And Overwatch overall has a very strong place in the Rule 34 standings. Historically relevant's a very important.
Which you can thank
really
Elizabeth for.
Yeah, she could thank Elizabeth there. In fact, they're on sort of the same podium together right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you know about Overwatch, then you probably know about the egregious amounts of porn.
Uplifting the entire series right now. The only thing keeping it alive.
In fact, it's been so impactful that Blizzard even tried nerfing her ass in the game. Because it was just like, Tracer's ass is too big and people are too horny for her. We need to make her ass smaller, and it's not working.
Yeah, they just gave her a pancake ass, the old Hank Hill. If that's not history, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. Activision Blizzard, what the hell are you doing? Get your shit together. Just embrace Tracer for what she is. You'll sell more copies.
Alright, and I guess now we have our final member of the council here.
This is our final member of the council, Twilight Sparkle, who you could say was the previous president.
Was, definitely. It wasn't too long ago where she was holding that, number one spot there.
And she held it solidly. She had a massive lead for her time.
Definitely.
It's honestly very strange to see how she's fallen off lately. But again, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic has ended, and it's been ended for quite a few years now.
Yeah, My Little Pony, by and large, people have just kind of moved on from it.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, her fall down the list has kind of just carried over to all the other ponies in general. It's been something happening with the entire series by and large. It feels like her spot in the council, she kind of represents My Little Pony as a whole in its history within Rule 34.
She was the queen of the previous decade.
Yeah, definitely.
Which again, that's not a small feat by any means.
Not at all.
Alright, and then we've got Velma Dinkley from Scooby-Doo, who also is in the Rule 34 Classics. So, nope, she's not in the Gatekeeper tier.
She's definitely not in the Gatekeeper tier.
Velma's been trying to make her way back in. We've seen moments where she has massive popularity among the internet, but no, she's still in the Classics category. She's not quite that relevant.
It tends to happen around Halloween, I've noticed, whenever girls are starting to dress up as her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't find my glasses.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's whenever, the time of year where she starts really picking up a lot of momentum. And that's been a very, reoccurring trend. So, yeah, Velma definitely deserved a spot here, for sure.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Widowmaker, who also belongs in the sex icons category.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's the second Overwatch character here, and it feels like at the very least, like it was appropriate to just not have Tracer on here, but Widowmaker as well. Just she kind of
Widowmaker's earned her
represents.
spot.
Yeah, yeah.
She was the one that Blizzard actually tried to make attractive.
She's the one that they actively tried to make sexy. So
Little
yeah,
did they
no doubt
know
about
that
it.
their entire franchise was going to be transformed, not just Widowmaker. But she still very much belongs in the sex icons category and does belong on the list.
For sure.
And finally, we have Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's one of my favorites to talk about here because it might like instantly strike some people as a little bit strange that we decided to label her as a sex icon, but it's very appropriate because she was basically designed by someone who is abundantly clear like a total bottom. Like it's like, oh, she's like a tall, strong Amazonian lady who ties people up with a lasso. Like, give me a break, dude.
Yes, Wonder Woman is the peak desire for any submissive man or submissive woman that's also into
That's
women.
into women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So really, yeah, not too much to say other than like she fits archetype 2 of sex icon perfectly.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Archetype 1, I would say, is like Morrigan or Bayonetta, and then Archetype 2, Wonder Woman, and She-Go, and Lara Croft.
Right.
Yeah.
The sex icons that step outside of like the traditional mold into what's kind of obviously just like more niche appeals, like being dominated. Or goth ladies.
That tends to be a
Things like
trend
that.
now that I think about it. Yeah. She-Go, Widowmaker, Samus, Wonder Woman. Widowmaker's
Yep.
kind of like that in-between spot. Maybe Samus too, a little bit.
She has the edge,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah, it feels like those two kind of have the personality of Archetype 2, but the body of Archetype 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well then, this is our list. Thank you, Frog, for joining me on this experience. This has been a blast to make. Maybe not so much to make all of these icons, but to make the list with you, it's been an enjoyable experience for sure.
It's been an enjoyable experience for me too. I love this. Thank you for having me.
And if you have any criticisms of the list, you can go talk to Goku about it.
Yeah, take it up with him.
Alright, thank y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good one, everybody. Links in the description below. Watch my other videos, damn it!